How to Bring Him Back is my first publication, and it's out in October. I'm a poet as well as a fiction writer, and the seed for this story was sown from some poems I wrote for catharsis and for healing. And I really believe in the idea of a body of work that's made of fragments that as writers we can revisit and reuse and build upon. I think it's an antidote to the frenetic social media driven pace. You know, that's one of the predominant narratives at the moment, like another new thing and another new thing and another new thing. And I'm interested more in depth of expression rather than an ever widening shallowness, which we certainly haven't seen today. So the main character in this story is Caitlin, who we meet as both an older spellcasting narrator, trying to make amends for a shady past, and also as a chaotic, directionless younger woman, undertaking the actions that the older Caitlin feels like she needs to apologise for. I've created Caitlin as a character, and she's an amalgamation of really shadow aspects of myself. And for me, that's where the writing for healing comes. And I think that's sometimes overlooked in other modes that focus on writing as healing, that self-accountability and the culpability. So making story out of fragments of shame and regret by examining accountability, I think, is healing. And it can also prepare us for like other social justice writing, where we examine our own accountability on a personal level first. So How to Bring Him Back is 70 pages long, and I'm basically going to read the first section for you now, and I welcome anything you have to ask or say about the story, as Isabel says, either in the chat while I'm reading or afterwards too. So here we go, the debut reading of the first section of How to Bring Him Back. Chapter 1, March 2018. If I was going to cast a spell tonight, this night of a full arse moon, stark as a 10-day crust of snow, I'd start by telling the earth to spin in the opposite direction. By what power? By the power of my pen. Not some scratchy biro, but this big barreled fountain pen that knocks back ink like the first pint of the evening. Because I know that time and its bloody mouth can suck in that big gut of yours, Stad. Because I know my pen can pump that brown into your greying hair. The spinning of the earth whips you into your superhero costume, cherry DMs and your old Crombie coat. And by the power of my swaggering pen, that counter-spinning drags you, I draw you 10,000 miles and 20 years back to me. And why would I want to cast that spell? So I can start my apology. December 1994. Kate's been sitting on the floor of the bus shelter for an hour, and her arse feels as bitter and hard as the slabs underneath it. Stad hasn't been able to drag her onto any of the buses that have turned up since she's been slumped here. But now, finally, her head is numb too. Turns out the cold wipes out indecision better than vodka. She isn't going to move. A bus will only take her home. And what's that old bullshit proverb about hearts and homes? Well, her heart's so stuffed with shit. How is it even finding contraction enough to beat? She watches Stad lean his face towards the bus shelter wall, one hand spread on the timetable, the other still inside the pocket of his Crombie. She presses her cheek on the sleeve of her leather jacket. It's raw with cold air. Leather jackets keep you sweaty in June and glacial in December. What exactly is the fucking point of them? Stad turns to her, squeezes his shoulders to his ears, shudders. That was definitely the last bus, you know. I'll have to get a cab.